What's up, you sexy lunch bags? My name's Chad Michael Innes.
Lunch bags can be sexy?
Lunch bags? Are you kidding me? I had a White Ranger Power Ranger lunchbox when I was little. That's a sexy bag. Tommy, he was the sexiest of the Power Rangers. Everyone knows it. He had the long hair. People were like, I want to be him. You're listening to Respawn Aim Fire, the Kick-Ass Irreverent Gaming Podcast. I'm Chad Michael Innes. We've got Holden DePardo. Say hey.
Hi.
And you guys are you, the listeners, and we're just three lifelong friends gathered around here to talk about video games. Yo, we got a doozy today. We got a doozy. Nintendo dropped an atom bomb. A-D-A-M. Adam Kovic. Is that a person's name? Adam Kovic? Sounds like a person.
I don't know.
Is that the guy who does like blank ruin the internet or ruins everything? Adam ruins everything?
Oh,
let's Google
it.
Kind
of obnoxious, actually.
Adam Kovic. Adam Kovic wife, tattoo, and net worth come up. Chicago wedding photography.
Oh, he's from Rooster Teeth.
Rooster Teeth? Is that it?
He's cool. Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Great. Well, we've got a him-sized bomb full of Nintendo Switch Lite stuff coming up
Does
today.
not sound like a very powerful bomb. It's like, yeah, it's an Adam-sized one. Who's Adam? I don't remember who Adam is. Oh, yeah, it's that guy. Well, it's his size bomb.
It's like that the episode of Parks and Rec where the Sweetums factory is like going over their new fast food place and they have the different size cups. And it's like, this is a small, a medium, a large, an extra large, and then child size. And it's in a tub. I'm like, what about that says child size? It's like, oh, that's the amount of liquid you would have if you put a toddler in a blender. Therefore, it's child size. Anyway, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, including why we think that this is a game changer, the Switch Lite, and how it's going to keep Nintendo relevant. But first, we are starting today's discussion with our third-party quest log, talking about video game movie adaptations. Well, movie and television.
Yeah.
Starting with Space Invaders, apparently on New Line Cinema's Launchpad.
The
Mortal
one
Kombat's
I've
Greg
been waiting
Russo,
for.
Right? Gross. Mortal Kombat's Greg Russo to script Alien Invasion pick. This is from Mike Fleming Jr. at Deadline. Apparently, New Line Studios has hired Greg Russo to write a screenplay for Space Invaders movies. He's written a few others, including the Mortal Kombat reboot, the Resident Evil reboot that is still to come, and a Saints Row movie, which I didn't know was in development.
Neither did I.
According to IMDb, these are his only projects. Interesting.
Yeah, Saints Row and Resident Evil aren't on his IMDb.com page, but they're for real as well. That's a lot of projects to give one person who has no credits, really, on IMDb.com.
I wonder what other kind of stuff he's written before. Maybe he writes video games and...
Yeah, so I went back to find out if he's on anything.
Yeah.
And what I'm assuming, and
he's
I have no
not a
proof of this-
Russo brother, despite
He's
the
not a
last
Russo
name.
brother. He's the third estranged Russo brother. No, I don't know if that's the case or not, but I do think he's been involved in the industry probably as a script doctor, which is essentially someone who the studio hires saying, hey, we have the script, it's garbage, we need someone to kind of fix it up and fluff up some parts here, and they'll hire someone like that to do it. The reason I think that is I went to first try to find him on something called The Blacklist. The Blacklist is a website where screenwriters can post screenplays that were not bought, so it can kind of get some attention by someone running across it on there. You have to be in the Writers Guild of America in order to be on that site.
Are you?
Which he would qualify. No, that's why I couldn't go on the site to see what was there. I just found that out while doing the research. But what I did find is that he's been a part of these like screenwriting roundtables going back all the way to 2011. So he's been involved in the industry to a capacity for a very long time at this point. 8 years, but for that industry, that's a really long time. So I think that he's probably done some script doctoring in the past, but we don't have anything he's officially written before.
So
I'm
he
sure
goes
he
in
knows
and
what he's
cleans up
doing.
other people's scripts. So he's going from a maid in a rich person's house to owning his own maid service.
Basically,
he's now going to be sending other people out.
Exactly, yeah.
That's the exact analogy.
It's the exact analogy. So I don't know. I don't have a lot of hope that any of these movies are going to be that good. Just for starters, Space Invaders just doesn't sound like it's going to be great.
You know what? If they went a route like Galaxy Quest with Tim Allen,
yeah, Galaxy Quest,
something
great
like
callback,
that.
Awesome movie. Never give up, never surrender.
If they make it just very loosely tied to the actual IP Space Invaders and just had a ball with it, I'd be down to see that.
I just feel like they could make any alien invasion movie and then say, it's Space Invaders.
Yeah.
They could do with anything. Not so much Resident Evil and Mortal Kombat, but
Yeah. Or what if it's like a sequel to Interstellar?
that's exactly what it is. Christopher Nolan's going to make the Space Invaders movie. The next adaptation, though, I think sounds more interesting. It makes much more sense.
Cuphead is getting an animated Netflix series, says Mike Fahia Kotaku. We will be called, quote, The Cuphead Show. The Cuphead creators, Chad and Jared Moldenhauer, which I just recently put together, Moldenhauer, Studio MDHR.
I put that together when I read that, too. I'm like, oh, that's why it's that.
Yep. Promises
Doughy.
it won't be a little kid's cartoon, and it will have the same kind of vibe that the game hints at. This... there are a couple of things about this. One, they are obviously not doing the animation for it. Netflix is. But Netflix is still going after that same type of style. Now, Cuphead, the game, every single frame was drawn by hand versus Cuphead, the animated series. They're going to try to do it all digitally. They're still not going to rig like puppets like you would in an animation program for a lot of things nowadays and then just move those puppets with code. They are just going to instead draw everything digitally on a computer. The one like image that they released as the advertisement for the series, I didn't like the way that they're drawn. Their eyes are very different, and it just looks like I don't know. I have to wait and see whether that's just like, this is the key art, and then the show itself actually looks like the game.
If they can change Sonic's eyes, they can change those eyes. So,
yeah, but
granted, we have not seen how Sonic's going to get fixed yet.
The whole world erupted when Sonic's eyes were shown. But it doesn't. It seems like I'm the only one who's like, "Ooh, I don't like the way that they went with that."
I mean, I can't remember, I heard this somewhere. When you're adapting something, you have to like stay true to the original, but you also got to keep in mind that you are making something for a different medium, and sometimes that means you have to make some sacrifices.
I know, but it looks stupid. It's dumb, but I'm very, very interested to see what it goes.
I'm more hopeful for this than I am for any of the other movies you just talked about.
Yes. Side note, I was listening to Easy Allies this week, and I forget who on it was mentioning this, but apparently they did a poll of like their nephew or something like that, and apparently kids in elementary school don't play Fortnite anymore, but instead they're really into Cuphead.
Oh, really?
And that's what the kids are playing, at least in his nephew's elementary school. So that's completely, purely anecdotal, but this might be a way to kind of capture that audience.
Well, here's another counter anecdote to that. My brothers, my dad were in town to visit me this week, and they're 13 and 7. Grace and the 13-year-old.
Your dad is 13?
My dad is 13. And I showed them Cuphead, and boy, they didn't like it at all.
No?
They didn't like it at all.
They didn't like the gameplay? They didn't like the style? They didn't like what?
Actually, my brother thought it was too easy. He beat like most of the bosses on the first or second try.
Your brother's an asshole.
He's a total dick. I expressed my disappointment to him. I'm like, you're making me look bad. I struggled with that boss
You
forever.
haven't even attempted more than 2 bosses in that game, right?
No, I'm on the second to last boss of the first area.
Okay, so 4 bosses.
No, like 5. Maybe, probably 4. Yeah, probably 4.
Yeah.
And the run and gun levels. I did those too.
Meow.
Yeah.
Meow. Meow. Oh, I'm a whale. We're going to move on to Supermassive Games' Dark Pictures Anthology, which is kind of movie related because it's like you're playing a movie. Headline number 1 about Supermassive Games. Their Dark Pictures Anthology is planned to be 8 games long. This is from David Gill at Dual Shockers, and they also plan to have a cadence of once every 2 years. Two every year. So once every 6 months, which I am 100% down for, especially if the rumors that the games are about 4 hours long are true, because I think that's perfect to be able to absorb something like that, maybe even replay it a couple of times a year. Over the course of the 8 games, the Curator, which is going to be the only character thread that links them all, will be the thread that links them all. Thank you. Repeating that in the same sentence for me. That's what I said. Pete Samuel, CEO at Supermassive Games, says, quote, "We have an arc in mind that plays over 8 games. We have them mapped out for the first 8, and each of the 8 different games will have a separate team, including different directors, actors, writers, and development teams," which I think is really cool.
Yeah. So I first heard 8 games, and I'm like, ooh, big commitment. Really, really big commitment. But if you kind of think about it as they're making like a season of Black Mirror or a season of like Twilight Zone, it's kind of what this kind of sounds like. Little anthology episodes to make up a little like season.
Yeah.
almost.
The
I'm
first
kind of
of
on board for
which
that. Is Man of Medan.
is
Medan.
Medan.
Yeah, we've
It's like Milan. Like the Will Ferrell SNL. How fast can you have your bags packed for Milan? And he closes his very tiny cell phone, and he has the bowl cut and the glasses.
I don't remember that
It's
one.
funny. It's funny. Man of Medan revealed to contain 2 multiplayer modes coming from Logan Moore at DualShockers. This is interesting, and I had to go back and listen to these a couple times to really understand what they were when I was hearing people talk about them.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to make our decision on how we play it. So, one, there is a shared, in addition to the regular single player experience, there is a shared story mode where 2 players online play co-op, and each player makes their own decisions for their own playable character, and your stories interweave. And so I might make a choice in my game that causes something to happen in yours, and then you don't understand the background behind that choice, but then suddenly something happens in your game. You're like, oh my God, and vice versa.
Yeah, they show a quick example of like your character falls down, but then like my character falls down, but then your character made a different decision that led them to not be there to pick me up, so I fall and die.
Yeah. And
Something
then
like
there's
that.
also the opportunity for conversations. Like you make a dialogue choice, and then I have to choose a choice to respond to that. So you have to wait for me to finish making my response, and back and forth. So that can be super interesting. I think if we played that way, we need to play it both times because I got to flip flop and see what you did and make sure I did it better.
And because it's 4 hours, I think this works. If it were an 8-hour experience like Until Dawn was, I think that'd be too much. But I think 4 hours is a great sweet spot.
Until Dawn wasn't 8 hours if you killed everybody. We just killed everybody at the very end. We made it all the way through. Tom, Jesse, and I were playing together, and we were just handing the controller back and forth. We got to the very last level, and Jesse was the one playing the last level, who doesn't play video games, doesn't know by heart where the buttons are on the controller.
Oh, and everyone died?
And she was like, we were about to have everyone safe, and then she ran somewhere. I think I told her to go like turn on a light switch or something like that in the house on her way out, and she did, and then everybody died but Hayden Panettiere. So that's one mode. Then we also have movie night mode, where there's local play for 2 to 5 players, and basically each person gets assigned a character, and you will hand off the controller as the game switches between the different characters' perspectives. So I'll be responsible for one person, Sean Ashmore, obviously, because I need the big name, because I have a big ego to match. And then you'll have the other people. We've been talking about how do we make this a community game night game for a while now. I want to figure out how we do these with the
wish
community.
movie night mode also worked online. Like you have a party going,
Yeah.
and everyone in the party can hand off. Like your controller will vibrate to say you're in control now, or something like that.
The thing that
Because-
I've been thinking, it's a little clunky, but we might be able to do it, is share play on PS4, where you can virtually hand the controller off. But I don't know if you can do that with a group of people or whether it's just 2 people. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll experiment a little bit before that comes out,
Yeah.
which is next month. It's coming out next month.
Yeah, August 30th is when it comes out. And that's on PS4,
August
but also Xbox
30th.
One and PC. Actually didn't realize it was coming out for the consoles.
Yes, that's actually a big thing because Until Dawn was console exclusive. Was actually just exclusive on PS4.
Yeah.
Multi-plat.
Speaking of not exclusive, a game also coming to all those systems.
Not exclusive.
Marvel's Avengers SDCC, which is San Diego Comic-Con, gameplay reveal seemingly won't be made public. So this is the description for the Avengers panel. Join Sean Escaya, creative director at Crystal Dynamics, and the performance cast of Marvel's Avengers for a special presentation that will include new information and the first public gameplay reveal for Hall H attendees only. So basically, if you're not there, you won't see it.
I feel like that's
I think
pretty
this is a
common
huge
for
mistake.
Comic-Con.
I think that it doesn't look great when people were really confused about what the game was based on E3, and the first time the big complaint being we needed to see gameplay, and then cool, we're going to show gameplay, except like not for everybody, only if you're there. They gotta release this footage right after the event.
It's basically a behind closed door thing from E3, but for an audience of fans instead of necessarily critics and news outlets. I don't think if history has anything to say about how these panels and things like that are conducted, I don't think we'll ever see this footage not recorded on a cell phone from the back of the auditorium.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I do think we will see something within a few weeks of this happening, even if it's not the same exact footage.
They really don't want to have the first real gameplay shown off through cell phone footage.
That's the way these panels always work, though. I mean,
I know, but forget about Comic-Con for a second.
That's the way it's going to happen.
I know, but
yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you. They've already said they're not showing it to the public, only for Hall H attendees. Everyone's going to have their phone. They're not going to not record it. I agree with you. But forget about Comic-Con and the traditions of Comic-Con. This is the opposite of what that game needs right now.
Yeah.
This game needs to have, hey, we're releasing it. We're going to live stream the gameplays. We're going to watch together. They need to be very open about it and very transparent. I have concerns about this game, and this made me more concerned.
I wonder if this will legitimately be the same behind closed doors demo that they showed off at E3.
Possibly, yeah.
I bet it is.
That's the other thing, too. It probably is, yeah, because it takes time to make those demos. Let's compare this to, like, Cyberpunk, right? Cyberpunk didn't have... I mean, obviously, two different standards of games, two different types of games. But just in terms of... Last year, the footage for Cyberpunk was behind closed doors at E3, and they didn't reveal it to the public, and that bothered me because I wanted to see what that game was like. But the kind of press coming out of it was, that was the best demo I've ever seen. That's not what happened at E3 with the Avengers. People were still kind of confused. They didn't really leave with very strong impressions. I mean, I think it speaks for itself. Like, they need to show it so people can make the judgment for themselves. Otherwise, the only press that's going around is, yikes.
Yeah. They need to show it, but also don't show it if it's bad. Wait, make it good. If you got feedback from E3 that's like, hey, some of this stuff doesn't work or some of this stuff looks bad, there's no way that they could have turned that around in time for this. So if it's not
also, they can't turn around in time for the game's release in next May. If it's
they can. Absolutely, they can. If they can change Sonic's eyes before Valentine's Day,
I don't think those are comparable. I think
they're absolutely comparable. These guys have eyes. So do the hills. The hills have eyes. Speaking of hills, did you make any in Super Mario Maker 2? Because we're transitioning to playtime. You make any hills? Any slopes?
I did make some slopes. I actually made. I've made one level, and then I'm working on my second one right now.
What's the code? Read it out to people. Put it in the show notes.
I don't have my Switch with me right now. Oh, I'm not sharing that one. It's not that great. I'll show the next one because I think the next one's actually I think pretty good. So, the content creation itself is a ton of fun.
Okay,
it's an absolute blast because
this is coming from someone who doesn't create content.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't usually like those kind of create your own your content kind of games. But I think the reason this works so well is just that it's really easy to go back and forth between making something and then playing it and testing it immediately.
That's important.
It's very important. But it's also just really fast to lay something out, try it out, see how it works. Okay, that jump was too far. So let me just move this a little bit closer right now. Actually, I wanted you to run and jump here, so I'll move it back to where it was originally. And you can just really tweak as you go along. It works really, really well. I do have a big complaint about this game, though. And I love the game. Like, it would be in my favorite game of the year so far had it not been for this small little detail. It seems like you can only do co-op play with fan-made levels that you've downloaded. You can't do co-op with the story mode.
Okay.
So which the reason that bothers me a lot is those are the better levels.
Right.
Those are the levels I would rather play with someone else. I don't mean this as defense to anyone. A lot of people haven't made games before, and myself included, but they're just levels that are so chaotic, and it makes it really annoying when you're playing with someone else. When you have two people bouncing on top of each other while you're trying to figure out all the stuff in a family level that's just too much going on. That seems to be a theme I've noticed. Is just there's just too much going on in so many of the family levels. That'll get worked out, I'm sure, as people kind of figure out the mechanics and try to streamline things a little bit more. But
yeah, as a creator, do you get the option to say whether or not it's a single or co-op player level?
So you can tag a level as multiplayer. Like, this is going to be a good multiplayer level. Because there's some levels that just really don't work multiplayer at all. Like, there's one my brother and I found where you're in the, like, Koopa cart, but only one person can be in the Koopa cart at a time. And in this level, there was only one Koopa cart.
By Koopa cart, do you mean a big clown thing that flies?
No, it's a little it looks like it could be a Mario Kart. Like it's a cart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And once that thing's going, you fell behind and you just start dying because you're off the screen because that cart's going faster than you can. Or this particular level as well, it's called an auto Mario level, which is basically you just let go of the controller and it just runs on its own, and it's actually kind of cool to see it play out. But you can't do that with multiple people. So like you really want to look for those multiplayer tags. But you can search for levels based on those tags. So if you wanted to find something a little bit more suited for multiplayer, you can do so pretty easily. But then you have to, once you've searched for it, then you can play it, but only play it single player, streaming it down. Or you can download it, and then you can play it with your friends. But I'm not going to download it if I haven't played it yet, because, I don't know, I just don't want to go do the back and forth of going to the core spot where I can view those levels and the course world where I find the levels. So it just that could have been streamlined a little bit.
You lost me a little bit on that, but I think it's okay.
So when you hit the plus button, you have a menu. There's your story mode, the course maker, and then there's course bot where you view levels you have made and levels you downloaded from other people. And then
do you have to download a level to play it, or can you stream a level somehow?
You can stream a level, but you can't do that in co-op, at least not from what I've found.
Okay.
Maybe I'm missing something. But it just means that if you want to browse to find something to play with your friends, you got to like browse, find them, either download a few or download one, then go to the other menu to play the level, and then go back to the other menu to find levels again. So just kind of going back and forth where I feel like you shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
But I still think the story mode is really clever. It's super smart. I really, really like just making the castle from the ground up by finding coins in the story mode levels. And the story mode levels, again, like I said this last week, all of them are centered around specific
sirens
objects.
On our end.
I can't even hear them.
Okay, good. Sorry.
Yeah. You're going crazy. You're schizophrenic. So each level in story mode centers around a specific obstacle that they're basically trying to teach you the nuances of.
Right.
And that's been a lot of fun. As I've been creating levels, I've been trying to treat it like that, where I kind of take one mechanic, I give you a simple version of getting around that obstacle, and then do the same thing with increasing difficulty until you get to the end. That's kind of been my goal and how I approach making a level. But I feel like what I found a lot of on the online levels is some sort of puzzle solving where they kind of hide things on you, and it kind of becomes a little annoying to like figure out where you're going. But then you will come across a level that's like, holy crap, this could be in a Mario game. And I've been saving those and downloading those ones. And I'll actually probably share a few of those ones in a show note or something, because I want to highlight some, I think, the better levels that are out there, because there's a ton of them. There's already 2 million. There are already 2 million user
2 million,
levels.
but I thought each user could only upload 32. I mean, if there's 2 million divided by 32, then you know how many players are playing the game.
Well, not everyone's going to be making content.
Hey Siri, what's 2 million divided by 32?
2 million divided by 32 is 62,500.
Hey, that's really poor numbers. 62,000 people have bought. I'm just kidding. Obviously, people are playing without making levels, and obviously, people are not filling up their full 32.
No, not yet. It actually takes a little bit of time to really make a level.
No, it doesn't.
It kind of, if you
Give
really
me
want
the
to take it
tools and
seriously,
a little stylus, and I'll go draw a line, boom, publish, level, done.
I'm surprised I haven't seen anything like that yet.
I don't know. Maybe it's out there, but it's just being buried because of good algorithms.
Yeah, but I really do like it a lot. I think it's a really, really good game. I just have an issue with that kind of co-op mechanic. And then that tying into online and how they add online, I'm assuming it's just going to be the same co-op options that you have normally, just online instead. In which case, I still can't play with people in story mode online. The biggest problem with Nintendo Switch Online is not the program itself. It's the game's not being designed to be played online to begin with, and it's so frustrating. But I have more thoughts on that when we talk about Nintendo Switch Lite.
Duper super.
So let's move on to you, Chad.
Moving
You played
on to
some other
me.
games that had the number 2 in it.
Oh, I did. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze 2. Remaster of the first. Yes, I played Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I picked it back up after I saw the the renders of the Nintendo World and Donkey Kong Country at Universal Studios. And I saw Donkey Kong and I was like, you know what? I never finished that. I got to like the end of World 5 out of 6, and I never finished it. So I'm going
I'm
on
World
playing
5 right
it.
now.
It is so fucking hard. I
Yeah,
forgot
it's really
how
fucking
hard
hard.
that game was.
So all the
apparently-
levels are super long as well. That's what adds to it.
long levels. Speaking of, they all introduce some kind of mechanic, and then it's in a simple form, and then by the end of it, you've mastered that mechanic in order to beat the level, and then you never see it again, which I think is really cool, too. My parents pretty much exclusively played this game on their Switch, and they have beaten the entire game, and they've gone back in every single level and gotten all 4 Kong letters and beat the level.
That's really hard. Holy crap.
Because when you do that, you unlock a secret, harder 7th world. And they're working their way through that too. And my parents are not great at this game. Despite it being the only game that they play, and they've been playing Donkey Kong Country over and over for 20 years, they're not great. And if I'm sitting here taking sometimes 20 to 30 attempts on any one given section of a level, I can't imagine how long it takes them to beat a level. It's insane. This game is so hard, but I love it. Love it. I'm definitely going to finish that this week because I think I only have like 4 levels left, and then I don't know if I'm going to have the time or patience to go back and get all the Kong letters and unlock the secret world. But I also played Titanfall 2. Holden, I had so much goddamn fun
Right?
with this game. We had our game night. We had 5 of us playing. It was you and me, Alex Kozina, Dallas, and Matt. We were all 5 playing on Tuesday. It was a super fun time. There's room for 6 people on this team, so for the rest of you guys who are patrons on patreon.com/ReasonMyNameFire, come and join us this Tuesday. Holden won't be there, so actually we have 2 more spots this week. Play with us. It's a good ass time.
Yeah, I'm really surprised at how much I'm liking the game, too.
Yeah.
It's,
I'm not usually a multiplayer shooter kind of guy, but I'm digging it. And I haven't even touched a single player yet, so
Yeah, same here.
got to do
Same here
that
on
because
both
that's our
accounts,
barf
you
game
said.
of the month. And then I also, yesterday, I don't know, time is a flat circle. Yesterday,
Saturday.
I put out on our Patreon, hey, I'm doing Borderlands 2 DLC because I'm so close to that platinum, baby. So close. I now have all of the character-related ones. Basically, all I have to do is beat Terramorphous, which is like the super hard and post-endgame boss. It's level 50. And I have to find this one fucking dude in Sanctuary who only randomly spawns every once in a while named Michael. Michael apparently was a kid who had cancer who loves Borderlands, and they put him in the game to give you a magic weapon every so often. But I can't fucking find him after 60,000 times I've respawned in Sanctuary. Anyway, those are pretty much the only trophies I've left. But we were going through the DLC, and Alex Kozina, winner of last week's KFAF challenge on Kind of Funny, which is fun because he made a really cool game. You should go check it out. We played through all of Tiny Tina's Dungeons and Dragons inspired DLC. It was about, I don't know, maybe 4 hours worth, and we played it pretty much in one sitting. I am floored by the quality of this DLC. All the DLC for Borderlands. It all adds, first of all the enemies are all completely new. So there's skeletons, and there are giant dragons, and there are, we're fighting knights, and
Did any of them
dark
turn
knights, storm
invisible?
knights, and stuff like that. There were seer skeletons that were mages that would turn invisible and shoot lightning magic at you. But
Nope.
so that's amazing. They added new gameplay mechanics, but this one in particular, because I played a little bit of the big game one from Hammerlock and then Tiny Tina. This game had me giggling from start to finish. The whole setup is Tiny Tina and the original 3 Vault Hunters, Brick, Mordecai, and Lilith, were all playing a game of Dungeons and Dragons. And you guys are the characters they're playing as. And so the entire game, Tiny Tina's narrating, because she's the dungeon master. She's narrating throughout the whole thing, and people are talking and stuff like that. And you'll get to, like, 10 minutes into it, and it's like, all right, and now there's a giant badass dragon that appears to eat you. And it's like level 70, and it's impossible to beat him. And then Lilith's like, Tiny Tina, you can't do that. You can't put an impossible boss. She's like, okay. it's a smaller dragon, and then the dragon disappears and a smaller one pops up. And then, like, you get to a character in there, and it's like, all right, now you have to get to the dwarves and have them help you through this mission to help beat blah, blah, blah. And we get to the dwarves, and Tiny Tina says, Brick, what do you say to them? And Brick goes, I punch him in the face! And she's like, oh, but if we talk to them, then, no, I punch him! Like, all right. And your mission objective then becomes punch the dwarves in the face. It's just her narrating the entire thing. I was laughing from start to finish. And all sorts of things like, I can't get through this part right here. And then she's like, how about I make this magical thing appear? And just stuff in the game world is changing all the time. And people are being swapped out because she's the DM and she's making hilarious decisions.
That does sound pretty unique, actually.
It is. And then I also started playing Torg's DLC, which is kind of a battle arena type thing where you are increasingly trying to become the best vault hunter, and you just go into this big pit full of a bunch of enemies who are all fighting each other, and you have to come out on top, and you have to do that several times and beat champions and stuff like that. And that's really cool too. But what I like is that it kind of gives you more of a background. So you see Torg as like a weapon maker in Borderlands 2 all the time. And I didn't put together the two that like all Torg weapons deal explosive damage. Like that's their thing. Maliwan deal elemental effect damage. The Tediore ones are always that you reload and they throw them, stuff like that. But all the Torg ones are explosive damage. And then when you finally meet Torg, and he's screaming everything. And you know me, there are 3 hilarious things in the world. Poop/farts, watching people fall, and screaming. Those are the 3 funniest things in the world. And there's a character who is nonstop screaming about badass and guns and explosions. And you're like, oh, it makes so much sense that all of your guns do explosive damage. It's like building out the world a little bit. It's super cool. So Borderlands 2, also Alto, Balto, Ultron. If you are trying to go for the platinum like Alex and I are, it makes it super easy because the new free DLC that's no longer free if you haven't gotten it, you got to pay $15 for it now. Allows you to get a Vault Hunter at level 30 and spawn them automatically at the end of the game, basically. So the like character-based ones where you would have had to have someone carry you through the game and level you up really, really fast so that you can get 100 phase locks or kill 100 people with this or be invisible for 10 seconds at a time. You can now do that all in like 5 minutes with each character. It makes it super easy. Soups. Ease.
That sounds like a hack to fix the optimization issues.
No. It was
I'm just trying to be negative of the game because I didn't like it.
It was a byproduct of an interesting idea so that people could play this new DLC, and it just happened to make the platinum easier a couple weeks ago.
Well, then.
Woo! So that's what I played. I'm going to be finishing up that platinum this week, playing some more Titanfall 2 with all you little titular lifelong friends. And then, titular means like in the title. But I like to believe it's tits related. So that's why I say it.
Well,
we're going to move on to our
log.
fetch quest. Gonna go fetch a quest because we're a dog.
I'll take us through it.
Take me through it.
So, starting off with a video from Austin Evans on YouTube, he built a PS5. Which, funny enough, in the video he says, this isn't a PS5. But he names the video building a PS5. Anyway, he basically, based on what Sony has talked about with the PlayStation 5, got some components off the shelf to get as close as he possibly could to what he thinks the PS5 would be, while like tailoring like the voltage and all that to be a little bit more like a console as opposed to a PC. But he had to make some inferences. So I mean, obviously it's not the real thing, but it's a close enough idea. And if it's as close as he thinks it could be to the PS5 releasing next year, he got 4K 60 frames per second running. He got 1080p running at over 120 frames per second, and those are kind of both been the touted goals of the PS5 and the Xbox 2. So kind of cool to see that like maybe that actually is possible, whereas we kind of thought, oh my god, that'd be so expensive.
I don't know,
but
man.
It sounds like it might be feasible.
4K 60 is already achievable on current gen systems for
native
some
4K
games.
though, not like the coalesced 4K or whatever it's called.
One X can do it native on some games, so
Okay.
just saying. Yeah, I mean that's not super impressive, but I'm sure whatever the feat is to get it, and whatever game specifically he was showing off was impressive.
It was interesting
Also, I
stuff.
don't want to play anything in 1080p anymore. Fucking get out of here. I have a 1080p.
Is it 120 frames per second though? Depending on the game, that might be optimal.
Can I tell you, Hulu is finally allowing you to stream 4K instead of 1080p, and I am about to thank the Lord for Handmaid's Tale in Ultra HD. Because 1080p needs to get the fuck out. It's done. It's done. Nintendo Switch, you're taking a back step with the Lite. 720p only? Get out of my eyes. Just
It's
kidding.
a handheld.
We'll get to that later. Go.
Dr. Mario World hits 2 million installs and passes $100,000 spent within 72 hours of launch. That's from Alyssa James at DualShockers. Good for Dr. Mario, I guess. I know my
Have you
brother
played it?
No, I haven't, but my younger brother Henry, the 7-year-old, he played it all last week. He was obsessed with it.
You guys have such, super... What's the word I'm looking for? Pretentious. Super pretentious historical white guy names. Holden Adams, whatever the fuck.
Oh, Holden Christopher Adams DePardo.
Christopher Adams DePardo and Henry, and I'm sure the other one's named Alexander Hamilton DePardo or whatever.
I don't know about Henry, but Grayson and Holden both come from J.D. Salinger books.
Yeah. And
That's
J.D.
why.
Salinger named him after historical figures in America's past.
Well, I mean, technically, I'm related to historical figures in the past, so
Exactly.
it fits.
You bunch of white, pretentious assholes.
Hey, I'm proud of my heritage.
You're not allowed to have white pride, Holden.
I'm not saying that. To be clear,
I know.
I'm related to John Adams, John Quincy Adams. I'm talking about that, and that's pretty cool, I think.
Why are those two different people? They should have just said one of us needs to change our name or move to Spain.
You know that John Quincy Adams is the son of John Adams, right?
No.
Okay.
I fucking hated history class. Oh, man. See,
Just
pretentious
those
white
two very
people
cool
naming their
people.
kids after themselves. I'm going to live forever through the name of my child.
All right, moving on. New sci-fi FPS Disintegration announced, and it's developed by former Halo creator. There's a little preview that showed like a ship. Looks pretty nice.
Nice. Spaceship.
No idea what the game's going to be yet.
Disintegration.
Also, no talk. Yeah, I know. Psychonauts 2 has been delayed until 2020 and will still be published by Microsoft. That's from Chris Moyes at Destructoid.
Chris Moyes, cut out the noise. Everybody loves to eat little boys. Speaking of eating little boys, Pokemon Sword and Shield jumping into our Nintendo Quest log.
Very related, yes.
Yeah, Pokemon, they're wild animals. They eat, I assume, little boys if they're nearby and unprotected and they don't have a Pokemon of their own.
That's what Pokeballs are for, is to stop it from eating you.
Exactly. It's a muzzle. It's a ball gag. No, Pokemon Sword and Shield is not reusing models from recent Pokemon games, says ONS.good at Polygon. Like Porygon, with an L for an R. Game Freak has been criticized recently for reducing the number of Pokemon in the regional Pokedex. That's a separate argument and is dumb. In Sword/Shield, and reusing animations from the 3DS games. But in a Famitsu interview, Game Freak says that no animations or models have been recycled and all were made from scratch for Sword and Shield. The main reason for reducing the number of Pokemon comes down to render times for high-quality models not possible on the 3DS. This is interesting because back when they were making Sun and Moon, they had mentioned that they were making they were creating the assets for these things in 720 or 1080p or something like that, even though it was only like a 480p screen on the 3DS. I guess with the intention of maybe if Stars ever was a thing, like the Stars Switch spinoff of that series, if that was a thing, that it would still look good on there. But apparently they scrapped all of that and just made everything from scratch for Sword Shield.
Yeah, and if you even look at the character models, there's a comparison between Pikachu and Let's Go Pikachu and Pikachu and Sword and Shield, and it's a noticeably different model.
Yeah.
It has a different aesthetic completely.
I like it. I like it a lot. Very good.
Yep.
Very good.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm not a hardcore Pokemon fan, so like the reduction in the number of Pokemon doesn't really bother me that much. That's fine.
Yeah, me neither.
I've never even come close to catching all of the main regional Pokedex. So let alone the national one. It just like doesn't bother me.
I did as a kid back on Red. I got all of them. You don't get Mew at the end if you get 150 and then go to Professor Oak. It's not a thing. Believe me, I tried every single rumor and thing you would find on GameFAQs, and I tried it all. You couldn't get Mew unless you glitched it or got it from an event. Or Game Shark.
Yeah. One thing I
story.
don't like about... Yeah, this is something I don't like.
Pokemon Sword and Shield, there's a new feature called Gigantamaxing, which is an addition to Dynamaxing, and these details are explained by Casey DeFreitas at IGN. So when this came out, Holden and I had... we were very obviously arguing two different arguments to each other and not understanding what the other was saying at all. So let's see if we can continue that argument here and still make no sense to each other. So first of all, what is
just off the bat? Just off the bat, Gigantamaxing is the stupidest marketing term I've ever heard.
Dumb.
It's so stupid.
I thought Dynamaxing was dumb.
Yeah, but no, they topped it. They topped it.
What is it? What is Gigantamaxing? It's specific individuals of certain Pokemon species can Gigantamax. So not everything can Gigantamax. Only certain individuals of Pokemon species. And when
Meaning
they
that,
do
like,
this...
Yeah, what that means is that let's say that Pikachu can Gigantamax. Doesn't mean every Pikachu you catch can. It means that you have to find the specific one in a max raid that can Gigantamax.
Dumb.
It's really dumb.
When they do, they increase in size and they change appearance significantly.
This is the debate's already started.
Yes. It also boosts their stats, and they gain a special Gigantamax move, or apparently they hyphenate or they abbreviate that Gmax. This is starting to get like it could be sexual. Max raid battles are the only way to find Pokemon that can Gigantamax, and apparently they are very rare, and finding them won't be easy.
Great. Can't wait.
Perfect.
So,
and then we got into a discussion about Mega Evolutions versus Gigantamaxing. All I was trying to say is that Gigantamaxing looks cooler than Mega Evolutions because there's a significant change to their appearance. Like, significantly more than Mega Evolutions. That's all I was trying to say.
yeah, sure. And my point is that they seem so similar that why didn't they just evolve Mega Evolution as opposed to creating something stupid like Gigantamaxing? Because I think, like, you're right, they can change in appearance. And they do change more so in appearance than Mega Evolutions. I'll hand
Right.
you that.
Like,
but
we
the
saw
Mega
that little
Evolutions-
icing Pokemon. So in this trailer, they revealed more. We saw the icing Pokemon turn into a giant wedding cake.
Yeah,
It's
whereas like
that's
Blastoise
significant.
just has like an extra cannon or something like that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. In terms of the coding side of it, it's the same thing of here is the regular Blastoise, and then here's the Mega Evolved Blastoise as two separate models that the game reads from.
Yes.
It was an artistic choice to say that it only was going to have the extra cannon. Here, in Gigantamaxing, again, it's the same thing. You have two separate models that are designed to look different from each other based on an aesthetic. It's not speaking to the system. It's just an artistic choice that was made.
Yes.
So it's really the same thing. They could have just said, hey, we're going to open up Mega Evolution to even more Pokemon, and we're going to decide to have them look more different than they have in the past. They could have done that. They didn't have to give it a dumb fucking name like Gigantamaxing. But I have a chart here of like all the differences. This chart came from that IGN article from Casey DeFreitas. Just comparing Mega Evolution, Dynamax, and Gigantamax. Just there are some things I want to compare
Go
that I
for
think
it.
are relevant. First of all, they're all stat boosting. All of them boost your stats. Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing do offer you different moves whereas Mega Evolutions, there's no special moves. It's just the same moves with better stats. Where I think Mega Evolution has the advantage is you can do it anywhere, anytime, whereas both Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing are limited to certain locations. Don't understand that. And then Gigantamaxing is even more limited, which we already talked about. You have to have the individual Pokemon of that Pokemon species that's compatible with Gigantamaxing. However, Dynamax has the biggest advantage where all Pokemon can do it. Because really, they're just increasing the size of it. They're just making the character model bigger. They're not actually offering a new character model.
Right.
But those are kind of the main differences. Oh, sorry. The other difference is that Mega Evolution lasts the entire battle, whereas Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing last 3 turns. It's assumed that Gigantamaxing only lasts 3 turns, but I think it's a fair assumption. So I don't think I don't see why they had to create a new term for this. It really feels like they just said, hey guys, you had these complaints about Mega Evolutions of not having every single Pokemon. Guess what? We're expanding it. So Mega Evolutions will just be really big now as well. Some of them will change in appearance based on if we made that artistic choice or not. And that's that. like it's basically Mega Evolution still. I just don't get why they had to make dumb fucking Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing. Like Mega Evolution just makes more sense as a term because that's what you've been doing in Pokemon for the past 20 years is evolving your Pokemon. It just fits more. What the fuck is a Dynamax?
Dynamaxing, here's what they had to do. Dynamaxing is there to say, hey, this is why Pokemon on Switch is unique. This is why Sword and Shield has this crazy new thing that everybody wants because you want to see a giant corgi take on a tiny little Bulbasaur or whatever the fuck it's going to fight.
Could have done that without a different name.
Yeah, the names are dumb. But then they had to do Gigantamax and restrict it in so many ways because they have to find a way to make people want to do the raids. They're trying to push this collaborative, do these raids kind of things, and they can't just be like, hey, they're there if you want to. They're like, no, we're going to put some stuff behind this wall, these cool things that you want.
I think you're right. I think you're 100% right. Here's a better way they could have done that. Some Pokemon you can only catch in a max raid.
I don't know, man.
Why not?
I don't know how I feel
There are some
about
Pokemon
that.
you can only get from having the other
That's
version
like-
of the game.
That's
They
like
already
having
limit in that
online.
goes.
That's like having online multiplayer specific trophies. It's stupid.
No, it's not because you can do those max raids local by yourself if you want to, and they'll have NPC characters helping you out instead of online people. So it wouldn't actually limit you.
I mean, it's still you could
It's
play
not an online
online
only
games
thing.
against bots and sometimes, but it's not rigidly online only. Yes, but it's still
Yeah.
the same kind of idea. Like I have to play with some people, whether it's NPCs or others, in order to do this stupid feature to get whatever I want.
Yeah. I don't know. I honestly, I'll be totally frank with you. If the names weren't this dumb, I don't think I'd be as upset. They're just so stupid.
Dumb. Speaking of something that's not dumb, NES games get a rewind feature on Switch this month. Says Chris Kohler from Kotaku, coming on July 17th, 2 days after my sister's birthday, 1 day after this goes live, the day after we play Titanfall together.
And happy birthday.
Holding down both triggers brings up a timeline of snapshots, similar to like the SNES Classic or the NES Classic, which is, I think, a very, very welcome addition to it, especially if you're like they're releasing special versions of these games on NES online service, whatever the fuck they call it as well.
The
I think this
SD
is just
games.
another, I think it's just another way to make these games more accessible to audiences that just don't have time to put up with the bullshit of what NES games used to have to be to prolong playtime.
Yeah, I'd also just have N64, SNES, and GameCube games.
Yeah. They're running out of NES games, though. They've got all the ones that matter on there, so now it's
They're going to
just
start making brand new NES games just for the NES
Yep.
Classic. No, they won't do that. That's a stupid joke.
That's a stupid joke.
But-
like a
Are
stupid
you ready to move on to the main
face.
quest, Chad?
Let's move the fuck on and talk about the Nintendo Switch Lite and how it's going to keep Nintendo relevant for the next
Yes.
5 years. And like it when your booty go.
I just want to highlight a tweet that I saw in one of the many articles
That we
that
retweeted.
I read. Oh, did you retweet that?
Yeah, we retweeted this.
Oh, I didn't even know that, but I think it was so funny. This is from @ToasterGirl. It's even if you missed the leaks. It's not like Nintendo removing the main selling point of their console is surprising. Switch to Switch Lite, no docked mode. 3DS, 2DS, no stereoscopic 3D. Wii to Wii U, no games. GameCube to Wii, not a cube. I don't know why. I just love that. That's so great.
Toaster Girl had like a couple hundred followers, and then this tweet had millions of retweets. I'm sure she was like, oh my God, what do I do? I'm famous now. I bet she just shit her pants.
Yeah, I thought that tweet was really great. So, first off, just what are your initial impressions of
What
Switch
is
Lite?
the Switch Lite? Switch
the
Lite
Switch
is
Lite-
a smaller
Oh,
Switch.
I thought you were asking me the question.
No.
Go ahead for it, Chad. You
I think
explain.
it's important for anyone, if you for some reason have not been paying attention to anything and you're coming out of a coma.
If you are Patrick Starr and you just came out from under your rock,
Fucking Patrick Starr. What a brilliant character. Switch Lite is something new revealed by Nintendo this week. Why it came out this week, who knows? Maybe we'll discuss that. But it is a new version of the Switch. It is intended to be handheld and portable only. Does not dock. Still charges with USB-C, though. It is smaller in size, has a smaller screen. It's 5.5 versus a 6.2-inch screen. Has a little bit better, slightly better battery life, promising 3 to 7 hours of play based on whatever you're choosing to play. And it is, I think that's like basically, they removed some features like HD Rumble and obviously the ability to play it in docked mode. You can still use controllers with it, though, like
Yep.
Joy-Cons and Pro Controller.
and HD Rumble will work there, of course.
Right, if you have paired controllers over Bluetooth,
Yeah.
yes. So that is essentially what they released. It comes in at $100
No
cheaper.
IR camera as well.
Right, obviously, since there's no Joy-Con that you can take off, no IR sensor on the Joy-Con or the Switch.
Which means no eating sandwiches and 1-2 switch. Damn.
Damn.
I'm so upset.
Yeah, so that was one game they called out in the reveal. They're like, if you want to play 1-2 Switch, you have to have extra Joy-Con. Also, no kickstand on this one, so you cannot play it in tabletop mode without either laying it flat on the table or with some kind of accessory.
Which makes me wonder who would actually use a Pro Controller on a Switch Lite.
I don't know. There might be people
I'm
out
sure
there. Who
someone
knows?
will, but I think it's going to be a very limited amount of people.
So why make this Switch? Well, it's $100 cheaper. And it's easy to advertise to people, kids, people who want a second Switch for the road because it's smaller, more compact. It comes in 3 colorways, a teal one, like a banana yellow, and a gray. And then there's also a special edition Pokemon Sword and Shield one that looks so good. It's like light gray with like the berry magenta color on one side and like the dark blue on the other side. And then on the back, they've got the legendary Pokemon, Zaxby's and Zatarans. And then it's just like, it looks so good. I don't think I'll buy that one because I don't give a shit about those 2 dog Pokemon yet. And who knows if I will. But that is the Switch Lite. That's what's coming.
And what do you think of it?
What do I think of it? I think it's a brilliant move.
I agree.
I think it's brills, totes brills.
It looks real nice, too.
It does. It looks like it was well thought out. They replaced, this is important. They replaced the left-hand 4 buttons since it doesn't have to be removed and used as a separate controller. It's now a D-pad. It's a traditional D-pad.
Mm-hmm. Is it messed up that that makes me go, should I get one as a D-pad? Which is stupid. I'm not doing that, but I had the thought because of the D-pad.
I think it's great for a couple of reasons. One, it obviously is making it a little bit more accessible to kids. The cheaper price point, $199, puts it a little bit closer to the price point of a 3DS. It's still far off from the $80 you can buy a 2DS for, though. But yes, the ability to now have multi-Switch households without necessarily breaking the bank. Kids want their own personal one. Customize it with colors so you can tell the difference because that's really important to kids. And what is surprising is that more so than people like, anecdotally, from everything that I've heard so far, discussions on the internet and read, I am seeing a lot more often, instead of people saying, this is the reason I will now buy a Switch, or I can't wait to get this for my kids, it is now grown adult people saying, I'm going to get a second Switch. So not only are they opening the market to new people, but they are convincing people who already have a Switch 2 years later to just, I guess I'm going to fucking buy another Switch, a second Switch. Am I one of those people? Yeah, I'm buying a second Switch.
Are you going to buy a second Switch?
I'm not going to buy one at launch, but when they release a colorway that is the right one for me, I'm absolutely picking it up.
What happens if the Switch Pro gets announced, though?
I'll buy a third Switch because I'm an idiot. That's what I'll do.
The one thing is they're kind of downplaying the battery life, I think, a little bit. Digital Foundry had a really good post about just the specs of the Switch and the new Marico chip that's inside of there, which essentially is just to remove the hacking loophole. But the battery life, depending on what game you're playing, has been improved. So on Nintendo's own website, they say that on the original Switch, it's 3 hours of Breath of the Wild, but it's 4 hours on the Lite. That's actually a sizable increase in your battery life. That's a 33% increase in battery life. That's not that bad. I mean, that sounds kind of worth it. That's the one thing that has me going, besides the D-pad, has me going, yeah, I might consider that because I kind of do play my Switch mostly in handheld mode.
I do too. I mostly play it in handheld. The only times I play it on the TV is the rare occasion that I have friends who live locally who want to play Smash Bros. Or Crash Team Racing or Mario Kart or something like that.
Yeah.
In which case, we'll play it on the TV. But yeah, most of the time it is I'm playing this on the shuttle to and from work or laying in bed with my Switch. That's where I play it.
Yeah. So I think this is a good jumping off point to kind of how this is going to keep Nintendo relevant and why this is, you kind of said, is kind of a game changer. So I got some stats.
Oh, read me those.
Figures.
You love fucking numbers. You get a big old stiffy for numbers. Go.
I mean, this is numbers we've already talked about in the podcast. I just think it's relevant to bring it up for context here. So back in October 2017, Nintendo released information on how people were using the Switch. And was it mostly docked? Was it mostly handheld? Mostly hybrid? And it was broken up. 20% have the TV mode as their primary way of playing the Switch. 30% have handheld as the primary way they're playing. And 50% do hybrid. But I also read into how they got those stats. They got those stats by tracking what's going on when you're online. Here's the thing. That skews heavily in favor of docked mode because airplane mode is... You cannot turn airplane mode on at all when you're in docked mode. It has to be on.
I know
the
so many
Wi-Fi
people
card
who,
has to at least be on.
Who leave their Switch in airplane mode permanently.
Exactly.
Just to save battery life.
When I'm in handheld mode, exactly. And those two things, I think, really skew this in the favor of showing a greater amount of people using docked mode. Docked mode is the lowest number on here, and I'm willing to bet that they're just missing out a bunch of people who don't have their Switches on when they're in handheld mode. So I think they probably realized this and realized, oh, this is a handheld device that happens to connect to the TV. I've argued against that. I'm now on that side. This is a handheld device that people happen to connect to the TV. I'm changing my mind. And the other thing is, if you go back and you look to the very beginning of Nintendo releasing consoles, it's not been consistent for them. The NES sold way better than the SNES, which sold way better than the N64, which sold better than the GameCube. Then they had a huge spike with the Wii. Then the Wii U tanked, and Switch is now finally doing better because it's a handheld. That's the. All right, we'll put it this way: their handheld systems have always sold consistently well. Right. Always, they've never had a handheld not do well. The 3DS is the weakest selling of the handhelds. Kind of. Game Boy and Game Boy Color are combined together. They sold 118 million units each. Game Boy Advance was 81 million units. DS was 154 million units. 3DS is 75 million units. They have never had a problem reaching very, very high numbers with their handheld. It's a more reliable business model for them.
Yeah.
How are they going to compete against the next consoles? They're not going to. They're a handheld company now. And the two tiers of Nintendo have always been console and handhelds. And this big divot is now going to be the two divisions of Nintendo are mobile and handhelds.
I don't think they're going to call it handhelds, but that is certainly their strategy.
Yeah, yeah.
And here's the way that they're going to win. They talked about, we read last week a story about how Nintendo is looking to expand its user base to entice developers because they're like, number of people with the systems is really important to us, and it's attractive for developers. They are now taking their handheld market, which has done significantly well in the past, and their console market, which is hit or miss, and they are now one market. So they're taking both their home console and their handheld both into one with this new system, and they are going to make
more
it
so
a
than
powerhouse.
With the original Switch.
Yeah, and the fact that they can both, for the most part, play the same games at the same quality, it's going to be a force to contend with for
Absolutely.
All the systems. For developers' sake.
I see where you're going from, but I wouldn't even say forced to contend with because it's just like, hey, I have a PlayStation 4. I want to play something when I'm out, or PlayStation 5. I want to have something to play on the go. Streaming sucks. This game streaming thing's not really working out for me because I don't think many people are going to really do that initially. This is going to be what they do. They're going to play Nintendo games instead. There's just something that's kind of trusting and reliable about Nintendo handhelds, and 3DS is clearly not their handheld anymore, obviously because it's been out for so long. You go to Nintendo's website, you look at the sales numbers, and they've been, between 2015 and 2018, consistently in the $6-7 million range of units sold. Then they just suddenly dropped to 2.5 million the next year. So 2 years of selling well alongside the Switch. Now it's tanking. And it's time. And I think most of that is... Go ahead.
They did officially make a statement saying that the Switch Lite is not a replacement for the 3DS, and they are still supporting it, even though that's literally just something to say to not piss people off who just bought a 2DS.
Yeah, that's complete... It's not... No, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get why they have to say that, but it's not true. I think the $80 2DS that comes to the game is a great deal, but I really kind of feel like with the way things are playing out in the market, with 3DS sales going down, which includes 2DS, and Switch sales going up, especially when this comes out, they're going to skyrocket, I'm sure. People are willing just to spend the more money to get the Switch Lite. I think that's what's going to happen. And I think next year we're going to see a massive downfall on 3DS sales. There's already basically no games coming out for it at this point. it's over. But it's gonna be it's gonna be quiet. It's gonna be a quiet dismissal.
Yeah. One day we're just gonna be like, remember the 3DS? Where'd that go? And then Nintendo's gonna have like in their backyard under the tree and a tire swing.
I think the Vita is gonna and the 3DS are gonna end very similarly. Where like 3 years from now, Nintendo's like, oh, we're actually stopped making 2DS models. And they go, oh, you didn't already do that? Okay.
Yep.
That's what's gonna happen.
There are a couple of things that people are upset about that I think we should at least bring up. One of them is the fact that it doesn't dock to a TV and that you can't, it still uses USB-C to charge, but you can't put it in the dock and put it on the TV. To which my response is, there's a Switch that does that. You can pay the $100 and buy a Switch that does that. You can also take that portably. Nintendo has options.
Yeah.
It does right now. The biggest hang-up for me all comes down to software, well, really firmware, and the way that it interacts or it does not interact with cloud services and syncing and things like that. The biggest headache, I think, is going to be if I have one dedicated to being handheld and one dedicated to being at home, how do I make sure that when I finish off something at home and I want to take it on the go, it's not going to sync like my phone does with my iPad and just I can pick up immediately. It's going to be a pain in the butt. I'm going to have to like upload manually my cloud save, download it before I leave anywhere that doesn't have Wi-Fi.
So this is kind of where I'm gonna be mean here for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Why even have a Switch Lite and a Switch? Just take the Switch with you on the go. It's also a handheld. Like you just said about if they have a Switch that you can plug into the TV, it's this Switch. Reverse argument on that. If you want to take your Switch on the go with you, you already have a Switch that does that. Why do you
smaller.
need to buy?
It's smaller, has a D-pad.
It's a little bit smaller. The D-pad's nice, but is it $200 worth it? Again, I felt compelled for that reason. But
yeah,
it
is for me.
Okay.
But yeah, to have something that's a little bit smaller, and I can just take. Oh, this is my Switch to go on the go. So that's going to be a big headache for me, and something they've got to fix. They did mention that there's going to be something in the future of. Right now, you can manually use cloud saves via online service and stuff like that, and move saves and transfer data, but it's got to be a lot more seamless between the two, because there is a huge discussion of people picking up a second Switch. That's a large part of the discussion going on right now.
I'm really surprised.
I honestly did not think that I was going to want one, but I do. Turns out I do.
Oh, so, I want one. It's just not practical.
I didn't say it's practical. I have so much shit here that's not practical. Why do I need a 42-inch TV in front of my eyes right now to display what's on my iPad? It's literally duplicated right in front of me. It's totally superfluous, first world thing, but hey. That's
also, video games are probably the least practical hobby to have in so many ways.
Yeah. And then the fact that you can't play certain games on it without extra stuff. So, like, people are like,
any game they mentioned, though,
or
1-2 Switch, don't care.
Yeah.
Just Dance, I guess, is one of them as well. Don't care.
There's Mario Party. I know you don't care, but people play that game. But to that, yeah, there is a Switch that does that.
All right.
Anecdotally, immediately when this came out, I was like, my niece's birthday is at the end of August. I could buy her a Switch Lite as like a belated birthday present. And I'll be going home actually the weekend that this comes out. And I'm like, we'll just go to the store, we'll pick one out together, and that'll be her,
Good luck.
her
I think it's going to be really hard to find.
Well, so I was texting my brother, and I was like, hey, I want to get this for Danny's birthday. But I don't know, do you guys use a family account? Does she have her own account? If she plays something on the Switch and then wants to go home and play it on the TV, is that going to be a pain in the butt for you guys to work with the cloud saves and things? I don't know. Do you buy games digitally versus physically? At 8 years old, is she going to understand what a primary and secondary Switch is and the benefits of it? Because you can't have the same game on both and play it on both. If you download a game on your Switch Lite and that's not your primary console, you can't play it unless it's connected to the internet. So that's like a big headache of stuff. Like, is she going to understand all of that red tape? And then finally he said, I was thinking about that too, and I showed her the new Switch Lite, but she likes to play on the TV a lot. I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'm just fucking spending the extra $100 and getting her a Switch. So don't even have to worry about that whole argument, but that's it. Getting the regular
She's in that 20%.
Switch. She's in that 20%. She just got my brother's old TV put up in her room. She's going to sit there and play Super Mario on it. My parents told me, I was on the phone with them the other day. Apparently, she's becoming a huge gamer, and that's all she wants to do now. Like, my parents bought Super Mario. What's the name of it? New Super Mario Bros. World 3D U. Wii
New
U
Super Mario
Deluxe.
Bros. U Deluxe.
That one.
Yeah.
They just bought that, and they're playing it with her, and she's fucking great at it. And then all the time, she's like, I want to go to Tata and Das's house. That's Grandpa and Grandma and her speak. I want to go to Tata and Das's house and play Switch. They have a Switch at home, but she just wants to go play Mario there. And she'll be at home, at the office at work with my brother, and she's like, I'm so bored right now. Just take me home so I can play Switch. So she's turning into a gamer, and I freaking love it. Can't wait. That's it. That's all I've got to say about Switch Lite. I think it's great. Can't wait.
Yeah, I agree. That's all I got to say, too, and I agree with you.
This holiday, there's going to be so many good bundles. And that's what I love. Okay, sorry, I'm not done talking about it. I was always so jealous of all of the 3DSs and all of our handhelds that they would put out, like special editions and things like that. And I was hoping that we would see a lot of that stuff with Joy-Cons on the Switch. I was like, oh, we're not going to see like special edition Switches that much, and we didn't really, aside from like the Diablo one and the Smash Bros one. And then, but we would see a lot of
Splatoon 2 and Super Mario Odyssey.
But those just had Joy-Cons. I'm talking about the Switch unit itself.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then I was like, well, maybe we'll see more Joy-Con customization, but we really haven't seen a ton of that either. And this looks like it's an opportunity to explore that, because now that I have a Switch and the Switch Lite is just an extra accessory, I can wait for a really, really cool one for a cool game that I like or a cool colorway, and now I can be like, fuck yeah, I'm in on this 3DS customization thing. Because, you know, the Wii and the Wii U and the N64, they didn't have that many variations on them, but the handhelds always did. I'm excited.
True.
Much excited. Be excited.
Yeah, this is going to be a different era for Switch. It's going to be interesting to see play out.
Yeah.
Also, notably, too, actually, a lot of the upcoming like big games are games that have been handheld games. Link's Awakening, Pokemon, Animal Crossing. I know Animal Crossing was also on the Wii and the GameCube, but its biggest selling
Oh, God.
titles were
Danny
always
ends
on...
up liking Animal Crossing. I'm going to shoot myself in the eye.
Chad, she wants
You
to
know
play...
she's going to love it, though. She's going to fucking
Yeah.
love it. I loved Harvest Moon as a kid. God damn it.
That's why you would like Animal Crossing, because it's just Harvest Moon, but better.
Yeah, but you know when you're a kid and you're like, I can't wait to be an adult and do adult things, then you're finally an adult and you're like, responsibility sucks. That's how I would feel now about Harvest Moon. Like, I don't want to go feed the fucking cows. I want to sit on my ass and watch Netflix. Where's that game where I just watch TV all day?
All right, let's move on to Ryan's subscriber interrogatives. Correction this time, though.
Subscriber
Correction from
interrogatives.
At Dustin E. Hill, also known as Dustin, also known as Dustin Email Hill.
Dusty. His nickname is Dusty.
Dusty Email Hill.
Dusty Email Hill. Yes,
My
last week we were talking about Pokemon, and you had brought up like, oh yeah, catching Pokemon after you beat the Elite Four, you unlock a whole bunch of other Pokemon, and we were talking about how many are going to be in this one, blah blah blah. We asked Dusty Email Hill to write in and explain to us, because he has a Pokemon podcast called, we should advertise it if he's going to be this generous. Hold, please.
While you do that, I'll provide the corrections he gave to us. So basically, Pokemon
Prize
Red,
count.
Blue, and Yellow.
It's called Prize Count.
Prize count. Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, the original Pokemon games, are the only games that don't feature post-game Pokemon, just because it's the original 151, which makes sense.
Although Mewtwo kind of counts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're talking about legendaries, though. We're talking about just other Pokemon you find in the wild.
Yeah.
So initially, each game has a regional Pokedex featuring a mix of old and new Pokemon. Later on, you attain the national Pokedex, and that's when you can start getting the remainder of the Pokemon. But Black, White, and Black 2, White 2 were the first games to only feature the new Pokemon before beating the Elite Four. This has not occurred in any Pokemon game since then.
I think it's important to note that what we're reading right now is an abbreviated version of the email that he sent us. There's a lot of context, and what was the biggest takeaway for me is that we were both wrong. And with that, it means that, Holden, you were wrong.
I just heard Holden, you were, and I didn't hear the end of that sentence.
The audience did, and that's what matters. That we all know collectively together that Holden was wrong. That's important to me. I
could be wrong. It's possible.
Yeah.
I'm human.
And so, okay, so thank you, Dustin, very much for writing in. I realized after reading this and listening to Tequila's ranking of all the Pokemon games episode today, I thought, I'm going to listen to this for a little bit, and then I listened to the full 2.5 fucking hours of it. And I thought, there are so many Pokemon games I've never played. And then I thought, am I about to go play every single Pokemon game leading up to Sword and Shield? And then I thought,
do
no,
that.
I love myself
That's too much of a commitment.
Yeah,
that's too much of a commitment.
Also, I think it would get old real quickly. Then I thought, okay, what if I just play a few? And then inevitably I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go back and play the ones I've already played before, and then I'll still be missing out on all the other ones. So I'm in my head, I'm still wrestling with, do I finish Sun and Moon, for instance, that I never finished? Do I go back and play Black and White or XY or something like that?
Black and White were fantastic. I hated X and Y. I stopped playing it very early on. Just because small thing. If one small thing bugs me enough in a game, I will stop playing it. And this is a classic example of that, actually. If you use the circle pad on the 3DS, you automatically start using these rollerblades that are really annoying. And I just don't like controlling with them at all. If you want to walk around, you have to use the D-pad. And I just found that to be super obnoxious because I had to hold it in a way I didn't want to hold it. Because I had to hold it differently to get to the D-pad to the circle pad. Hated it.
All right.
And it's a really nitpicky thing. But
yeah, that is very nitpicky.
It's very nitpicky, but it ruined the game for me.
Holding it in with Holden DePardo. I'm Holden and Kevin.
What? Where did Kevin come
that
from?
Morphed into a morphed into a kind of funny Science with Kev thing. Science with Kev. I'm Kevin. You should listen to more kind of funny content. Anyways, specifically their in-review stuff. That's where all the laughs come. Everything. You should listen to everything. Game On Game Show, where we play a game on our game show called Game On, the gaming show on our game show. We play game. I know you guys have been waiting for the longest time for some more video game Would You Rather. Here we go. We've got 3 Would You Rathers. They're all video game themed, and this week they are all Nintendo hardware themed, thanks to the Nintendo Lite or Nintendo Switch Lite reveal. So I have 3 Would You Rathers that we're just going to discuss here. Number 1, would you rather have a docked version of the Nintendo DS or an Oculus Quest style portable Virtual Boy?
Okay, one thing again. Okay, how does this docked DS work? Is it
I don't
docked,
know. Let's decide that right now.
Okay. Does it work in the sense that you dock it in, but you still have to go up to it to use the touchscreen controls?
That sounds awful. Bloody awful.
But does that sound as bad as having a really shitty VR experience with you everywhere you go?
I imagine. Well, here's a thought. You dock the Nintendo DS, put it in there, and then you have like a tablet that represents the bottom screen that you can write on, and then you have the TV screen, and then it's just a Wii U. So would you rather have a
Wii U with really bad graphics?
Awful graphics.
Still better than the Virtual Boy graphics, though, because there's more than 2 colors.
But it's strapped to your head.
You get really nauseous, and you don't know where anything is, and you fall down. That sounds dangerous. I'm going to go with the docked DS.
I think so, too. Docked DS. I need to pick up some DS games. No, I don't. I have too many other things I need to play. All right. Specifically speaking about the Switch Lite, number 2, there are a few key features missing from the Switch Lite. HD rumble, the ability to dock it, things like that. Which other feature would you rather have removed? Audio or color? Would you rather not be able to hear anything in your games, or everything is in black and white?
You're saying removing a feature.
Yes.
Does that mean you're removing the speakers, but the headphone jack is still there?
No, we're removing audio from the system in general. There is no sound chip.
I'm going to say remove the audio because I like to play games while I listen to a podcast or something, or watching something on YouTube in the background. And I'd rather listen to the YouTube video than what's happening in the game.
Can I tell you what happened today? It's that same exact thing. I don't do that. Because I can't, whether it's watching something or listening to something, I can't concentrate on more than one thing at a time. Okay. So today, I was playing Borderlands and listening to that Tequila Pokemon podcast at the same time because I was doing something meaningful. I was just phase locking 100 enemies as the siren. So it was just like, wait, I had an enemy trapped in an area. And I was just like, phase lock, wait for it to recharge. Phase lock. So I was like, cool, I'll listen to a podcast while I do this 100 times. Because you have to wait for it to recharge like 13 seconds. Anyway. So I'm listening to the podcast, scrolling through my phone, just every once in a while hitting L1 on my controller. I'm like, man, it has been forever that I've been doing this, and I haven't hit 100 yet. This is taking so long, literally like 30 minutes. And then I go and check my trophies. Turned out 25 minutes ago, I got the trophy. But I was just space locking for no fucking reason because I can't pay attention to two things at once.
That's really funny. See, it depends on the game. Like, I could never play, like, Men of Medan. I'm not playing that while I'm listening to YouTube. Whatever.
Right.
Wouldn't work. But playing Mario Kart and listening to techno, I tweeted about this, is the best combination ever. Man, is that fun.
What's the difference between techno and house? Just kidding, we don't have the time for you to say.
Oh, I can
nothing.
Explain the difference. They are different genres.
They're not. They're the same.
They are absolutely different genres.
We'll save that for affable idiots returning July 18th. Is that this week? God damn, that's this Thursday.
Yeah.
I would rather have
next
color
Thursday,
removed.
not this Thursday.
No, it's returning this Thursday because we're recording on Wednesday night.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's on my calendar. I knew that.
Yep.
I knew that.
I would rather remove color because I think so much of what I appreciate about games is the audio experience. Like, so many games I love, and a lot of that love comes from the soundtrack. We see it a lot with our barfs. Like, oh, man, yeah, this atmospheric soundscape was really great, or the music to this was amazing. Even my favorite parts in Destiny 2, I remember thinking, oh, I loved this part particularly because the score did such really great things during this fight or something like that. Versus color, yeah, HDR is sexy as fuck, but we lived without it for so long. And black and white, there are so many cool things you can do with grayscale and cool art styles that, like...
And plus, you gotta think, too, like, look back like The Wizard of Oz. The best parts of those movies were in black and white, not in color.
Well, they were in
color
brown
parts are
and
just...
black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah. Audio. I would keep audio, remove color.
We'll disagree here because I can never get rid of the color.
We don't have to agree. This is Would You
game.
Rather. This is not Marry, Fuck, Kill.
No, I'm just letting you know. We don't agree on this.
Great. Fucking great. You're fired. Last Would You Rather. Would you rather have... Would you rather have always on HD Rumble underwear? Or... have a slightly smaller head on your body forever? Because the Switch Lite is slightly smaller than the Switch. So you have a regular sized body, but a slightly smaller head.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm definitely not choosing that one. But here's the thing with HD Rumble underwear.
Yeah.
Is it responsive to things, or is it, like, always rumbling?
Think of, like, a vibrator in the shape of underwear, and it's always on. You never have to recharge it. There's no hiding that boner. That you're going to get a boner. It's going to be torture.
Well, no, I don't think so, because if it's vibrating like this, it's got to be like hard plastic underwear, basically. So you'd hide the boner. It'd just be uncomfortable, your boner pushing up against that hard plastic the whole time.
Eventually, you're going to peak. You're going to climax. And then we all know, after you climax, you don't want that vibration anymore. But it's going to keep going. And there's going to be no escaping it for the rest of your life.
I'm just picturing me living in Chicago, and I get on the train, and there's the person next to me going, what the hell? Why is he vibrating when I sit next to them on the train? But first, it's like me walking everywhere and going, that guy's head's small. Like, really disproportionately small.
Think like the Goombas in the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Oh, my God. I would... See, that's the thing. That I would so make fun of people who had small heads.
That's so mean.
So I feel like I couldn't have a tiny head for the rest of my life. I would make fun of myself. Yeah, I would have to do the always on HD Rumble underwear. And then, like, I don't know, figure out, maybe, like, put stuffed toilet paper in my pants or something like that, or styrofoam.
Here's what also makes choosing that one easier, is I wouldn't actually have to do it. There'll never be a point in my life where it's like, Holden, you really actually got to decide, and you actually have to do these things. If both these options were presented to myself, I'd be like, where's the nearest bridge I could just jump off of right now? 'Cause I'm not doing either of those.
Slightly smaller head. What a stupid option. Yep. All right, so we would both have HD Rumble, and that is the end of Video Game Would You Rather, and the end of our podcast for today. Thank you for joining us. We love you all so very much. Go to patreon.com/RespawnAimFire. Support us. Wait, we have this in here, right? Somewhere. I'm on the wrong note.
I need to add it back in again, actually. Oops.
Our Our bar for the month, Titanfall 2. Play it on whatever platform you like. Play along with us. We're going to discuss it at the end of the month. Holden, before you go to bed tonight, we need a list of games for next month's barf.
I will do that.
Do that right now.
I will
Ask
do that right
Alexa
now.
or whatever you pray to set a reminder for you for 5 minutes from now. And so, if you're a Patreon subscriber, patreon.com/respawnaimfire, help us vote for what we're going to be playing as a community next month. And then if you want to play Titanfall 2 with us, we have a squad of 6 ready to go. You can be on that squad Tuesday night, tonight, if you're listening to this the day we launch. And then wallpapers are coming in 2 weeks, end of the month.
Yeah.
I'm excited to come up with whatever they are.
This month's one, it's going to be hard to top. That dark mode with the
I know, right? I feel like I blew my wad too early.
Well, it's time with iOS 13. It works out.
You're right. Thank you guys for listening to us. Tell us about it. Tell your friends about us. And then listen to Afflebill Idiots coming out, episode 4, this Thursday, July 17th.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Until next time, here's our usual sign-off. These are my peoples. I said a reference nobody gets but 4 people.